join me, Brandon Molesky, this Saturday at 6 p.m. at Tom's Watch Bar for a KFAN Wild Watch Party. We'll have all the games live on the big screens, including your hometown hockey team, delicious food and drinks, and your chance to secure KFAN exclusive KFAN swag, and entering for the chance to qualify for Wild tickets. Get all the details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Closed circuit to the coroner's office. Once again, we do a couple of segments where we get unprecedented response from the listeners via the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line. Literally hundreds of text messages, and nothing from the coroner's office. Nothing like, hey, way to prep for the show. That was a nice segment. Well done. You ad-libbed on a lot of the examples of things that were back in the boomer. If you've done 15 of these 35 things, you're a boomer. And all sorts of people.
Oh, that's a great topic.
Yeah, and we had fun, but the coroner's office doesn't give me.
I was in the coroner's office, and I assume he feigned interest
at all. Another one would be, remember when you had to use the old road map?
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, Ray McNally.
Or you'd go into the gas station, you'd get a road map and then you would have. And think about trying to find out where you're going to go. And then they had the flip side where they had each city, like Minneapolis, St. Paul.
And the printing was so small, trying to find those little side streets. I know, people have no idea today.
Like today, Abby and I met with a potential client.
Okay.
It was over near where their office is. So it was at a Caribou off of 42nd and Winnetka.
Right.
Now, if you would have said 42nd and Winnetka, and let's say you just had to take a left here, take a right there, go 2 blocks here. That's the way it used to be back. And all you have to do is punch it into your phone, set it down.
You're gone. Yeah,
in 1 mile, take a turn, take a left here. It's just wonderful. It's so much.
Yeah, that's a great one. The map thing was really aggressive because, again, it wasn't. First of all, it was dangerous unless you had somebody in the car with you.
Yes.
Trying to look at a map that was barely readable unless you had like almost binoculars to read the streets on the map. And then if it's at
night and you're trying to read it on the dome light, you're doomed.
Man, it brings back a lot of memories.
So I delivered pizzas when I was in high school, and we had like one big map at the pizza place, but they'd give you their address, and I was taught how to read the numbers on the street and your address number to give you an idea where in the city of Maple Grove, right? So like 96th Avenue is further south than 97th Avenue, right? And then the address number goes west to east.
Yes.
And that's how I'd have to find houses.
And I guess there would be times where it would be more difficult to find it if you had GPS.
Well, especially because, some of those streets it's not one consistent street. It might stop here and then a couple blocks later it connects again.
I delivered prescriptions the same way.
I didn't know you were a drug pusher.
I was a drug pusher. They were legit, but I worked at Town Drug over here in St. Louis Park.
That's right. I remember you too.
I drove around and people would order it. I would bring it right to their house if I could find it.
A couple of the other examples. Somebody else just said when their son first saw a typewriter, he laughed and he said, "Is that a how did he say? Is that a how did he say? He says, like, is that a computer terminal without a screen?"
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Here's what it says. When my son saw a typewriter for the first time, he thought it was a new laptop with no screen. That's what he thought it was.
Well, I mean, you missed out on typing class, which was one of my favorite classes.
I got a D in it.
What? Really?
Because I didn't. That was the Haight-Ashbury days. I wasn't applying.
I suppose. Well, I liked it because there was usually 3 guys and the rest girls in the class.
Ah, right.
But that's how I learned how to type.
Baby.
And we had to type, also learn how to type like formal letters, which was a little more difficult than just learning how to type and using the keyboard. But obviously translated when I went to WCCO, then manual typewriters, then electric typewriters, and then you kind of graduate from there. But yeah, I can't imagine. Probably the most valuable course I ever took.
We talked about, back in the old days, a phone booth, right? Where you would actually, or phone by car.
Yeah.
You ever do a collect call from a phone booth?
Oh, sure.
Collect call from Mark. Will you accept the charges, please? God. And then, of course, the person answering the phone on the other line would have to do the joke. Let me think about it for a second.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Exactly.
You're calling collect because you don't have a red cent.
Well, there was also party lines you had in your house. My folks had one of those.
I had one in ours.
Where you're sharing a line with your neighbor. Pick up the phone, there's 2 people talking. Yeah.
You have to hang up and wait for later. I'm sorry. Wait for them to get off. Then here's another one. Here's another one that I think you're a boomer if you watch the Vikings play in a Super Bowl.
Oh, that's me. I was alive to see
Tennessee,
it.
you didn't hear that one, did you?
No, I wasn't really listening. I was just waiting to talk.
I said another reason when you know you're a boomer is if you've watched the Vikings play in a Super Bowl. You've never seen it, have you, Tim?
4 of them.
I have not.
Tennessee has never seen the Vikings playing a Super Bowl.
I know.
Never.
Sad.
Never
Really.
seen them playing one.
But yeah, didn't miss anything because none of them were very good. They never led for 1 second in any of them. So
We've been talking about Chiefs fatigue, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There are people that, and I'm included, I'm just, I admire them and I respect them and it's great, but I'd like to see other teams in there. I don't know if Chiefs fatigue has anything to do with Super Bowl tickets, but they're not, at least early on, as pricey as they've been in the past. On Monday, get in pricing, that means just get in the door, $4,600 a ticket. It's down, it's still a lot of money, but it's down thousands from last year. At this point last year, entry-level Super Bowl tickets were sitting at over $7,000.
Okay.
Do you think that's Chiefs fatigue? I mean, this is certainly an intriguing matchup.
Yeah, it is.
Philadelphia is a talented club. They are 15-2 on the year. They got Saquon Barkley, who rushed for 2,000 yards, an excellent defense, the tush push.
Right.
We all know about Mahomes and the rest. I wonder if it is, or if it's the economy, or
I think it could be a combination of things. I think people also would like to see, NFL history made. I mean, if whether you like them or not, I mean, you could say, well, yeah, I was there when the Chiefs became the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. We've seen that with other teams and other sports when you go, oh, not them again. At the same time, I think that's also, given how difficult it is to repeat in almost any sport, it's a rare opportunity because, I, for one, don't necessarily think Kansas City's going to stay up there. I mean, they got Mahomes he's not even 30 yet, though. I mean, you got to look at it. They're going to be in the mix pretty much as long as he's there, I think, in the way that they draft and sign free agents and add to their team. And as long as Andy Reid's coaching, they got a pretty good chance of being around, being in the playoffs every single year. But I don't know how to answer that. I think it's all relative depending on how much money people want to spend. I mean, I don't think the viewership is going to, people think, I'm not going to watch it. Well, don't watch it. But there's 100+ million people. There's still nothing like it on television that comes close to it. As far as an event that people will watch, it's like people say, it's like a national holiday. And like you mentioned, I think yesterday, I think certainly the vast majority tune in because they want to watch the game. There are other people, casual fans, want to see the commercials. It used to be a big deal. Like, I want to see the commercials and the halftime show. And I'll, kind of pay attention. If I'm at a Super Bowl party, kind of glance over the game a little bit. And that's just fine. But I think generally speaking, it's still nothing can top it in terms of sports. A one-day event, one and done, no series, no 4 to 7, no whatever it is.
Final round of the Masters is pretty good, too.
I don't disagree with that. I love when it's competitive. If you got a close,
I believe it was, I don't remember the exact time, but last night, Knickerbockers up in Denver.
Yes.
I send you a text, Bodega Cat. Right. You send me back, you were watching, but then I had not heard about it, but you alerted it to me. Right. There was an awful crash last night, a collision between an Army helicopter and a, not a 747 kind
of jet. No, it was a regional airline. American Airlines, yes.
American Airlines jet and an Army helicopter near D.C., no survivors. They think all 64 people aboard. I'm reading an Associated Press story from just minutes ago. All 64 people aboard an American Airlines jet that collided with an Army helicopter were feared dead in what is likely to be the worst U.S. aviation disaster in almost a quarter century.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about that, how safe it is to fly.
Yeah. And
this was just another routine flight.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they had problems, that plane had problems. They didn't. And, this is why the investigation will take some time, and they'll look into it. And it's very, very...
well, and I just think I saw on the screen up here, because we got ESPN on, did I see this right? Were there figure skaters on the team from the U.S. figure skating team? Was that was?
Yes. Some, I think, yes, from, what was it, St. Louis area, but There were some Russians on there as well, but they were coming back from from Wichita. But a number of young skaters, as one would think, within that kind of a sport. But it adds more. I mean, it's sad enough. Every soul is horrific, and you know when you see the faces, then you put a face to the the number of fatalities, and understanding that it's so rare. And we've all seen the video by now. And again, I'd rather just let the investigators do their work and not come to any sort of rash conclusion about anything.
Well, you can't. You have to wait to see what happens.
Well, you should be. You should. That's what you should do. It doesn't always work out that way.
Right.
But yes, just to find out, because there were three servicemen who lost their lives on the helicopter as well. But yeah, it was a shock, and I watched probably too much. I flipped around. I watched. It was a kind of a sports night. We made dinner last night, and I watched the Wild game for a while, and they had a really impressive performance last night. And then you were alerting me to the Bodega Cat game. He's got the sore thumb, and they bested the Denver Nuggets, and then the Wolves with a very impressive second half in particular, knocking off the Suns in Phoenix. And I think that's the start of a pretty long winning streak for them. Not the start of, a continuation of. Looking at their schedule, playing tonight at Utah, for instance. Come home and play the worst team in basketball on Saturday, Washington.
I don't know how many times the coach can chew the team out in a film session and then get kicked out of a game. Is that what it takes to motivate him?
Well, we can talk about that, but it was a weird ejection because he was sitting there, standing on the sidelines with his hands in his pockets, and he was barely even uttered a word. I don't even know. I missed the first technical, so I didn't even see that one, but the film session is a whole other story. That was based on the Atlanta game, and they deserve to get their butts chewed for that.
I know, but if that's what it takes to motivate a team, I know. I'm the only one that doesn't compare it to third-grade in-house basketball. This is pros. I don't think you shouldn't have to have the coach light into you at a film session to get you to play like a professional.
Well, every top coach has done that.
Not very often, but at that point, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to do that. Be a pro. What a pro wants, what a pro needs. That's what you want.
Human behavior.
We'll take a break and come back with more after this. 10 to be. You've got a keyword, I think.
Yeah, the fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword check at KFAN.com now for a shot of winning. That keyword is check. Enter now at KFAN.com. Come hang with the Common Man at 5 Iron Golf in Minneapolis on February 6th. Join the official, unofficial ambassador of Minnesota Golf at 5 Iron's newest location in North Loop from 5 to 7 p.m. Check out their simulators where you can play iconic courses, enjoy chef-inspired dishes, craft cocktails, and enter to win great prizes in a Closest to the Pin challenge. RSVP now for this free event at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
If it was 3 o'clock, I would say that's a wrap, but it's not a wrap. We're getting fitted for a wrap right now.
Mm-hmm. Busy studio.
And when we say wrap, I'm not talking about a garment to keep you warm. We might be wrapping the
studio.
We're
not talking about Nordo's wrap either.
Yeah, we're not talking about Nordo's wrap. When I saw Nordo's wrap,
he's so good at that.
That was like I watched him in that studio way put it together. It was. Do you remember? Did you watch the Beatles documentary Get Back?
I did.
Do you remember when we watched Paul McCartney actually create the song Get Back?
Sitting down, yes.
I had the same experience watching Nordo
Very similar.
put together the Rainbow. It's exactly the same. He's the Paul McCartney of the fan.
That's funny.
It was just,
he's good. He's very good at it.
He's really good at it.
Yeah. The skill.
He's a hell of a musician, and I love the way he raps. I would sort of say
combination of
Lil Nas and
Drake.
Praz and Lil Nas.
And Praz and Lil Nas. I would say it was kind of a combination of those. That was what I would think. So you like that Wild Win? I've been getting a lot of pushback.
Oh, the Wild Win last night.
The Wolves. I've been getting a lot of pushback on the Wolves when I wasn't quite as excited when I read the game. Well, I read the Gamer, and it sounds like once again the coach had to light into them over the game before in the film session. And they were all kind of taken aback, like, what's wrong? And then when they saw the film, they said, oh, you're right, we're really not very good.
Well, they weren't very good that Monday night.
Yeah, they weren't very good early yesterday.
Okay, would you take a deep breath? They had just played their best game of the season, defeating Denver here. I think everybody agrees, Saturday afternoon. It looked like they had turned the table a little bit. They had that was a big win for them they after beating Dallas. So they come back and they play a bad, shorthanded Atlanta team. They took a 17-point halftime lead, so it wasn't like they came out yawning. They came out and blew them off the court. And then the second half started, and they went into sleep mode. And so that's what Finch was.
And you liked sleep.
No, I did not at all. I was at the game, and I was like, I turned to the guys I was sitting next to going, man, this is awful basketball. But
I'd actually compare him to Young Gravy.
Or back to Nordo. But so Finch was not happy after the game, called them out after the game. They fly to Phoenix. They have a film session yesterday, and he tears into them. I mean, and rightfully so. I don't know the extent of it, but these guys understand what their head coach is all about, and some people they like to respond to that. They can respond to it. He's not the first or the last coach, even at the NBA level, where these guys are making tons of money and they don't have to be motivated by a coach screaming at them or pointing things out. To me, it's a matter of, do you want to be one of the best teams in the league? You all have wealth beyond your means, but watching Nickeil Alexander-Walker's soundbite after the game last night, he had limped off the court against Atlanta. I thought he was donezo for a week or two. And he said it was a nerve thing that fortunately popped back, and he had a very impressive game last night. I think one of the best games he's ever played. And he said, I worked too hard to get in this position of being an NBA player to want to ever miss a game. I want to play. I want to play and he's getting better all the time. So I think there's, you can't just go, well, no, I'm not saying he was pointing him out because he got hurt. They got a young kid, Jalen Clark, who I've had my eye on him. He was hurt for the whole year. One of the best young defenders, I think, in the league. And I think he's going to be a valuable asset down the stretch to mix and match with Rob Dillingham, who can add kind of instant offense. He was good last night in his 15 minutes. I thought Julius Randle play arguably maybe his best game of the year last night. He was aggressive. He looked good. Got to the foul line. He scored 28 points, and then Ant filled in the blanks. I mean, he went off on. They had the great series against Phoenix last year. They swept them, but they've never beaten. Ant has never beaten Durant in the regular season, so he's kind of giddy at the end, and he has highest respect for Kevin Durant, but they took it to him. They matched up well, and I just looked at it like that was an impressive second half. They locked him down on defense. You always talk about effort, Common, and rightfully so. That defensive effort last night in the second half, in particular. In the third quarter in particular, was impressive. So I'm thinking to myself, they're still going to miss DiVincenzo for weeks probably, but they're in a good position right now. That's all I'm saying. I just saying, look, they have right now. They got to make hay because they play at Utah tonight. They're awful. Washington here on Saturday. They're woeful. Awful. Sacramento here on Monday.
They're awful.
The Bulls here on Wednesday.
They're awful.
And then they play Houston here. One of the better teams. But so they've won 4 in a row right now? 5, 6, 7. They should have an 8-game winning streak before they play Houston.
Good for them.
Well, I'm just saying that's all. I'm not crowning them. I'm just saying that if you're watching the development and seeing a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you're seeing now a Jalen Clark. I hope that Finch doesn't get stubborn and not play this kid at times, because he can shut people down out there, and that's really what they need defensively, and it helps the whole team. So that's all.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
All right.
Okay. If they lose tonight, then I'll rip them tomorrow. No, I won't be here tomorrow. Laser beam going on in here.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I was flipping around. I was, like I said, the Wild had an impressive win at Toronto. That's a good team, and it was nice to see that.
Go Wolves! Oh, I'm proud of that club.
Well, I know you don't watch, and I don't really. It doesn't matter. You're not trying to. It doesn't impress, or you feel the way you do. I know you're not going to watch them. It's fine. I'm not trying to change your mind about what motivates them or what doesn't. I can enjoy a regular season game like last night when you're playing a really good Phoenix team. Not a great Phoenix team because they're only 2 games over 500, but they still got Kevin Durant, they got Devin Booker.
They're already but they're already talking about trading Beal.
Well, they have
There's no effort there.
A lot of probably with the whole Jimmy Butler conversation.
That's a team that's already run up the white flag.
I think when the Wolves took it to him last year, that may have been it for him. I mean, as far as playoff success, I don't know if they can recover from that. So we'll see. But anyway,
what do you think of Young Gravy and his effort?
Young Gravy and his effort?
Yeah. He gives it every time.
Every single time.
You ever notice when Bruce Springsteen does a concert 3 hours nonstop and he plays night after night? He never has to have... Do you think he goes on as the music director have to chew him out for not working as hard as he needs to work? No, it never happens that way.
Remember when McCartney performed at Target Field? I remember what was impressed with more than anything.
81 years old. He gives
McCartney never had a drink of water the entire concert. Never changed.
Mick Jagger's 81 years old, and he never slows down on that stage.
No.
He gives it everything he's got night after night after night. When you're in the NBA, you can go, we'll take an off night here. Well, I'm tuckered.
It's a team game.
Really. We'll take our final break of the program. Let's do the giveaway, Tenneby. I have a $100 gift card for 5 Iron Golf. They're in the North Loop. TrackMan Technology, Simulator Golf. And if you win a $100 gift card, maybe you can use it down at the grand opening. A week from tonight, the Common Man will host a grand opening party from 5 until 7. You'll have an opportunity to verbally slap me on the back, touch the hem of the garment, and watch me hit knockdown, punch, cut, fade draws. There'll be a closest to the pin contest. We'll have prizes, including Timberwolves tickets, so you can watch that terrific effort on your own. The Wild and a $100 gift card. So all of that, please RSVP just to let them know that you're on the way. There was no charge. The grand opening is free. Everybody wants something for free. But let's give away that $100 gift card right now to the 11th caller, 1-800-320-5326. 1-800-320-5326. 11th caller will be a winner from the Common Man, everybody at 5 Iron Golf, and all of us here at the Fan.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates do apply.
Number 13-14 pass Common Man program. Meanwhile, you're Wild. They're told that your best player's out for at least 4 weeks, and you got to go on the road and play a really talented Toronto team, and they rise to the occasion, and they beat Toronto 3-1. A really gutty effort, a team that decided, let's circle the wagons, let's win one for Kaprizov, and they did. Really good game for the Wild last night.
I think they just have to find a way of, either staying on the road the rest of the season, or B, I think it was suggested that maybe they stay in a hotel here at the St. Paul Hotel the night before the home game, so it makes it feel like they're on the road, because they are.
I think one of the players suggested they just wear white jerseys at home.
That's another.
How do you explain this, Tenna? It's just.
You can't. Not everything's got an explanation for it.
It doesn't, but they looked really good. I mean, they shut down a high-powered,
I've got an explanation how they do it.
What's that?
On the road, they've just happened to more often than not score more points than the other team.
Brilliant!
So that kind of explains it.
But it was impressive. And, I don't know what's the deal with Brodin. What is he? What's his? We don't know. Of course, his upper or lower body. That's all we know about Brodin. But he's been out, and they miss him a lot. But it was a good team effort last night.
How about? I was thinking we call him Kaprizov. We didn't need him last night. Nice win last night.
They'll need him in April.
I'm looking at a CBS Sports story.
Mm-hmm.
Agents' take on the 2024 contract awards. Best signings, worst signings.
Okay. All right.
Most valuable acquisition. Who do you think?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, I would think.
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley,
that'll work too. Yeah, he's pretty good. It wasn't bad when the Giants gave him away.
The Eagles gave Barkley the type of long-term deal he'd been seeking from the Giants before playing the 2023 season under a $10 million franchise tag.
Wow.
He signed a 3-year, $37.75 million contract, averaging $12 million a year. Deal is worth as much as $46.75 through incentives and salary escalators, blah, blah, blah. He certainly earned every penny.
Man, and that's the thing that I don't want to call it the rebirth of the running back, but hearing one of those draft gurus on with PA was popping around a little bit this morning, and he was talking about how good this running back pool is, and you know, the Vikings.
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah,
They tend to be
but Saquon, yeah, I mean, it was a couple of years ago. You wouldn't have a running back taken hardly in the first round, and now it's just wow, there might be 4 or 5 taken. And Saquon, I mean, classy guy. I mean, everything about him it's to be admired. Even the kind of the Barry Sanders way of him handing the ball. Not that I mind guys doing the gritty or whatever, but he hands the ball to the ref. He does the Sanders thing. He just exudes class, I think, all the time.
One of the, I pointed this out a couple of times, a theory, and I think there might be something to it that, and Tennessee might remember us discussing this. A couple of people have had the theory that the reason the running game is working is as well as it is now is that some of the offensive coordinators are focusing on it more because the defenses, for the most part, have been constructed to stop the pass.
Yeah, makes sense.
So now it's like that's the way their defenses are set up, and they might not have as, they have quicker guys.
Smaller personnel out there.
Out there. And now it's all of a sudden, well, let's get a really good offensive line and just start running the ball a lot. And we saw the success of Saquon Barkley, of Derrick Henry.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs and what's their nicknames again? Sonic and Knuckles.
Knuckles, yeah.
So there's other teams that have been running the ball really well, too. Least valuable acquisition.
Man, I have to give that some
Someone got paid a lot who didn't do anything?
I don't know. Can't think. I mean, I'm sure there's probably pretty obvious.
Well, you know who he is.
Aaron Rodgers.
He played here.
What?
Oh, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Falcons signed Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million contract, averaging $45 million per year, with $100 million in guarantees, where $90 million was fully guaranteed at signing in March. As you said, he was benched.
Yeah. Think about what's his future like in
That's
Atlanta?
Your least valuable acquisition.
Yeah. I mean, he's laughing all the way.
His future's in the broadcast booth. That's where it is.
I think
he'd had his rehearsal with the NFC thing.
Now, they have your offensive signing of the year, and it's a duplicate. They select Saquon Barkley, which makes sense in years. Next up, defensive signing of the year. Now, I wouldn't have known this because I don't pay attention that much to the individuals. But
Van Ginkel, Grenard?
Nope. Plays for Philadelphia. Zach Bond.
Zach Bond.
Bond's the name.
Bond. The name is Bond.
Zach Bond.
Signed a 1-year, $3.5 million deal worth a maximum of $4.5. Tied for 6th in the NFL with 151 tackles. He excelled in coverage, forced 5 fumbles, second most in the NFL. He's the only player to ever have at least 150 tackles and 5 or more forced fumbles in an NFL season. Named to the Pro Bowl and first team All-Pro honors, both for the first time in his career. He is also a finalist for the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. They got him for $3.5 million.
Yeah, how about that?
I mean, they're out there.
Oh yeah, you got to just find those gems. That's what the management gets paid the big bucks for. Because you don't have to all be like first round draft picks, or you don't have to. What will happen is when the bell rings for free agency, if the Vikings, for instance, don't sign an offensive lineman the first day, people are going, what's Kwesi waiting for? Just have to wait a few more days. Look, they got Van Ginkel, and they work. I mean, he's going to sign an extension, I think. Rumors have it Van Ginkel will be signing an extension. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Can you
Are you reporting a framework of the deal is in place?
I'm not reporting a framework of the deal's in place, but I think they will as they kind of get through this month of a lot of meetings going on, et cetera, et cetera.
Biggest steal?
Well, Saquon Barkley. Man.
Russ Wilson.
Really?
Yeah.
Steelers got a veteran starting quarterback for as cheap as possible. Wilson was willing to take a 1-year deal for only his league minimum $1.21 million salary because his $39 million 2024 base salary in the 5-year, $245 million contract extension he received from the Broncos in the 2022 season was fully guaranteed at signing.
Oh, man, what a sweet
So again,
deal.
another guy that says, it's like when Brady, I guess, used to sign for less than market value because, well, the family's wealthy. I'd rather have the money around me. So, yeah, he signed for a paltry sum. And regardless of how well he played, he played pretty well, right, for the Steelers?
Maybe you should reunite with Pete Carroll in Vegas, and get the band back together again.
Best use of a contract year.
Oh.
Well, you know who he is. He plays for us. Might not after last 2 games of the season.
Well, Sam
Darnold.
Darnold.
Yeah.
Darnold took advantage of 2024's 10th overall pick, J.J. McCarthy being lost for the year. The plan was for there to be a transition to McCarthy. He signed a $10 million deal to bridge the season, and you saw what happened. So that was best use of a contract.
I would.
Because Darnold,
100%.
even though we think, the line everybody uses is, boy, he sure lost a lot of money in those last 2 games. He's still going to make a pretty good job.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the timing of it, too,
Right.
in that you are in a free agent market where there are no other quarterbacks available.
Correct.
And teams have short memories, and they'll look at his body of work. And
it's a weak quarterback draft.
Yeah, correct.
So, I mean, he's
right.
If a team wants to improve right now, he will be the best option out there.
Worst use of a contract was Deontay Johnson, wide receiver for Houston.
Well, he ended up playing like 3 teams this year.
Yeah, that's
He
what
started in Carolina.
Yeah.
I think he went to Baltimore, then Houston. And I think Baltimore just signed him again recently just as a procedural move because they get compensation for it. But he's not. They're not going to play him.
Best contract extension for a team. Not for the player necessarily, but for the team. They say Jerry Jeudy.
Yes.
Browns acquired Jeudy from the Broncos for a 2024 5th and 6th, a 3-year, $52.5 million contract extension, averaging 17.5 per year, with $28 million fully guaranteed. Was quickly signed after the trade. Incentives made the deal worth as much as $5.75 million.
If I recall, Jerry Jeudy was in the Justin Jefferson CD Lamb draft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And was a first-round pick. He was drafted higher than JJ. And it was pretty disappointing for his first couple of years in Denver. And when he was traded to Cleveland and signed for that much, I'm like, what are they doing? He has not done anything worthy of that amount. And then
Big name,
he had a season now where you're like, oh, that looks like a pretty good contract now.
Yeah, right. Worst contract extension for a team. Of all the guys that signed contract extensions, which player do you think was the worst deal for a team?
It's hard to remember who signed last year.
Dak Prescott.
Oh, my God.
Prescott's 4-year, $240 million extension, averaging $60 million per year to make him the NFL's highest paid player, wasn't done until hours before Dallas's regular season opener.
Wow.
Didn't he get hurt too, or just benched? He
did like halfway through the year, yeah.
Yeah, he got hurt late. Yeah.
So that was not obviously a good deal for the Dallas Cowboys. So those are just some of the highs and the lows of contract signing.
See, some of the other awards are being are coming out right now. I think the sporting news is that. I mean, I always think of the sporting news as a baseball, going back to my days. But a KOC won Coach of the Year for that. But there's going to be a whole bunch of other ones coming out until the big one. I think next week, the Super Bowl week. Normally the official all pro teams are announced and Coach of the Year and everything else. All the awards are next week before the game next Sunday. Man of the Year, NFL Man of the Year, all that stuff.
A couple of Vikings have won that. Burke won it. Chris Carter won it, I think, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
And Carter and Burke both won. I don't know if there were any other Vikings that
It's a big deal.
There may have been.
It's a big deal.
Well, I think most of the players, and I don't think they're just saying this. I think they look at that award as the sort of like the best actor award. That is the best one. When you're the Man of the Year, because that goes beyond the football field. It means what you are as a human being and how you are in the community. I think for a lot of
it has to be. I mean, you think about all the guys that are up for it. Every individual. I think C.J. Ham is a Viking representative this year, and he does a lot of really good work with individual groups here. But you have to almost have a high profile, something nationally that you're involved with to get that kind of ultimate recognition. Not that taking anything away from any of these guys who are doing great stuff in the community. But to win the award, it takes a whole different level of participation in the community.
It does indeed.
Yep.
It does indeed.
But good for all those guys. Big CJ Ham fan.
I wonder how did his season go this year? He didn't seem last couple of years. I think he was used more. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just wasn't paying.
Well, I mean, he does things that are going under the radar. Obviously,
right.
He's there for mostly for blocking and helping picking up the blitz. And once in a while, he'll carry the ball. Once in a while, he'll catch a pass. But he's valuable enough that on that fullback position, which is kind of going the way of the dinosaur, that you don't have many of those anymore. But I still think they value his contributions. He keeps himself in great shape, and I'd still say he's got a pretty decent shot at making the team again next year. If that works out with what KOC wants out of his offense, then you got to have guys like that they're willing to sacrifice their bodies to keep the quarterback upright on a blitz in particular.
I saw where for All-Star Weekend in the NBA, the NBA extended an invitation to Caitlin Clark.
For the three-point
to participate in and she turned it down.
Right.
And I don't think, and maybe I just missed it. Did she give an explanation as to why? What was it?
I think it had to do with, they had the basketballs in the rack.
Yeah.
And I think it had something to do with that. I mean, I didn't read all the whole story. I'll admit it, but I thought that was one of the reasons why. It wasn't about feeling like she's going to get embarrassed or anything. It just was more of, I don't like the way that it's set up. So maybe there's more to it than that.
You're getting ripped, by the way. Now we're getting back to the stuff I like.
Oh, goody. For what?
Well, for being a fraud.
For what?
Well, I'm going to read it to you.
All right, please do.
Find my
cursor.
No, I found the cursor. I'm cursing at it. This email says, Rosen says he had his eye on Jalen Clark for a while.
Yeah.
Before last night, Clark had played a total of 9 minutes across 4 games.
College basketball.
Did Rosen see all 9 of those minutes, or had he been watching him in the G League games?
Guy.
Or maybe he watched a lot of UCLA games when he was in college. Or could it be like me? He never saw Clark play before.
No, that's not true. I saw him play in college, and he got hurt, unfortunately. And in talking to people at the Wolves, obviously, but sitting here, I said I had my eye on him because I know about his reputation and I know how the franchise felt about him. To say, let this kid heal, and he's going to be one of those guys that cares just about defense. Your pet peeve. He goes out there. He's not interested in lighting up his box score. He's interested in stopping people, and you can see the impact he made last night. Yeah, granted, it was just a few minutes here and there, and he's going to have to earn those minutes going forward. But, he coming back from the injury, and it was refreshing to see, Nas is back tonight. Mike Conley's got a wrist problem, probably keep him out of the game against Utah. But again, hopefully that'll mean that Clark will get a few more minutes. I want to see, I think it's important for Dillingham and for Clark to get more and more quality minutes as the season goes on, just to kind of give them a deeper bench. That Finch doesn't hesitate in going to some of these guys, which he's been hesitant to do, I think, as this, before the last week or so because of injuries as much as anything else.
Tenneby, do you believe that he's had his eye on Jalen Clark for a long time?
Yeah. I mean, it's like Walker Jenkins.
Do you believe that?
You saw him at Boston College, so.
Yeah.
UCLA.
And my other question for you is, how did you know that was Larry Mandela guy?
Because he's the only one that would take the time to write the way he does. I know his style. He's like AI. I mean, he writes in a way that is so...
AI without the intelligence.
Correct.
Wow. Pretty good line.
I've seen his comedy routine. I know his bit.
I guess I'll take your word for it. I don't think you've ever watched Jalen Clark play. You read something about his defensive prowess.
I saw him play. I mean, I'm not going to sit there. I saw 12 games, but a lot of it has to do with mostly talking with the people who I trust with the Wolves organization. That said, this kid is a defense-first kind of mentality. I know it was the first time he played this year, and I was impressed. He didn't play that much, but I liked it.
You like how he plays?
I like that he plays defense, and you'll like it too if you ever watch him.
Get back to the Western Conference Finals and get back to me. That's what I'm doing.
They might.
I guess they could. Yeah.
Well, they could.
They could still gel.
That was fun watching.
They need to gel.
I watched a little bit of the late game. Golden State, kind of rose up and beat almost unbeatable OKC.
Well, here's your problem with OKC.
They're fat and sassy now, right?
No.
SGA is.
He's basically about all. I mean, if the other players on the team are not, especially it'll help when they get Hungry Holmgren back.
Yeah.
But when the other players on the team
Spectating?
when they're not scoring,
Right.
when they're open because the other team is trying to shut down SGA, they're in trouble. Look at the numbers last night. Look at that box score.
Yeah.
SGA did everything. He had 50% of their points, all of their free throws. He was this and then the other thing. And the other guys on there,
Standing
4
around.
points here, 2 points there. Maybe not even just standing around, but just not shooting very well.
Right.
They need another shooter on the club. Here's the issue with trying to get a shooter. Defensively, that's the strength of the Thunder. They're as good a defensive team as there in the NBA. So do you take that? Those guys as a team defensively work so well together. Do you really want to take one out for offensive? I don't know who you would get. You add a more offensive-minded player. You got to make sure you can't get a really expensive offensive-minded player because then that gets away from your salary caps and such like that.
Right.
So if they were to get If they were to get a guy that was better offensively, not defensively, does that screw with the defensive ability of that club? Because that's what they're built on. Their defense on OKC is just tremendous. Yeah, so I think that's what the problem is. If the other guys can score and help out, that's a really good team that could make a deep run. But if they play like they did last night, they're going to be in some trouble.
They're going to get tested. I mean, you think that just out of, the maturation process, we saw how they got better last year, and now they looks like obviously they're 37-9. And Gilgis, he had 52 points last night. And the only other player, I think, in double figures. Well, they had a guy off the bench that scored 17. Jalen Williams had 26. But Golden State treated it like a championship game. They were. I mean, our old buddy Andrew Wiggins was locked in. Curry made a bunch of threes at the end of the game, and they won by 7 points. So, again, OKC's kind of going, what do we care? I mean, we played hard. We gave it a shot.
Care.
Well, they better.
It's another team that I'm not happy with.
No,
I'm a taskmaster.
You really are.
I don't like to let them off the hook.
No. Well, same type of thing you do with this show.
I hold the team to these teams the same high standards I hold myself to.
Yeah, every day. There's nothing but the preparation.
We'll see you
next week. Have a good weekend.
Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Timmy, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. I appreciate the compliments, at least from you and the listeners. We got unprecedented response, not so much from the coroner's office, but that's okay. We're back tomorrow at 12 noon. Who do we have in for Program Password?
Marnie Gellner, Lil B, and me. Max will be hosting tomorrow.
Hey, very good. That's tomorrow, right here on the Fan. Big Ticket and JG are next.
Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.